Hello and welcome to Children's Lives Matter, the series that enlightens, encourages, and empowers parents to reimagine and individualize parenting to make raising emotionally balanced children a reality for everyone. Welcome to our show. We believe that every child is important and deserves to be loved. For those joining our discussion for the first time, my name is Dixie Ann Harris Gordon. I'm streaming live from Louisiana, and I am joined by Vera Thomas of Georgia. Vera, tell us about today's episode.
Well, hello, Dixie, and I'm so glad to be here. March is Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. Developmental Disability Awareness Month is a crucial opportunity to foster understanding, compassion, and inclusivity for individuals with developmental disabilities. This observance underscores the importance of creating environments that empower individuals with developmental disabilities to lead fulfilling lives, access necessary resources, and contribute meaningful to their communities. And I just lost my okay. And sorry about that.
You're
Today we will
you're
be we will be focusing in on neurodiversity. Our quote to inspire thought for this week was written by Temple Grandin, a professor, a best-selling author, an animal behaviorist, and an autism self advocate. And she says the most interesting people you will find are ones that don't fit your average cardboard box. They'll make what they need and they'll make their own boxes. Let's watch this video to learn more about Temple Grandin's experiences.
You never get cured of autism. But what you do is you learn better, is you learn more and more things.
Well, I didn't speak until I was 4. Now I have a BA and a master's, and I'm studying for my doctorate.
I can remember the frustration of not being able to talk. I couldn't get my words out. My speech came in gradually, a few words at a time. When I was a little kid, I was very autistic, nonverbal, rocking. That's the kind of kid they just put away in the institution. But I had a speech teacher that worked really hard with me, and I can't emphasize enough the importance of young children getting early intervention. You got a 2-year-old or 3-year-old with no speech, don't wait. High school was absolutely worst part of my life. Teasing, teasing, teasing. I got kicked out of school for throwing a book at a girl, teased me because, teasing really made my life miserable. And the only places I could get away from teasing was the specialized activities. Things like horseback riding, electronics lab, model rocket club. The line was drawn in the sand. I was not allowed to become a recluse in my room. I had to get out and do things. I'm always kind of baffled at just how illogical people are in their thinking. I'm very logical in my thinking. But when I was younger, I didn't know that other people thought more in words. You see, I think in pictures. If I don't have a picture, I don't think. And my mind is very, very associative. Being a visual thinker, I tend to put things into categories. You see, autism is a very big spectrum. At one end of the spectrum, you got half the people at Silicon Valley. And then at the other end of the spectrum, you've got somebody who's very handicapped, remains nonverbal, is going to have to live in a supervised living situation. Really, really big spectrum. And Einstein probably be labeled autistic today in a lot of school systems because he had no speech until age 3. I'm interested in seeing something that makes real change. I've done a lot of work that's made a lot of improvements in the livestock industry, and I think I've helped a lot of kids succeed. I want to see the kids that are like me succeed. That's the kind of stuff that makes me happy, when I see the things that I do make a difference.
A beautiful soul. Oh my goodness. In our reflection segment, we will look back on last week's episode in which we highlighted the importance of treating special needs children as individuals who happen to experience unique challenges. We recognize that children with developmental disabilities seek to be seen and respected for who they are, not what disease they may have.
That's right. And now in this week, we'll focus on neurodiversity. and the experiences of children who exhibit these challenges. We're going to start with a video that details a hopefully therapeutic process.
April is Autism Awareness Month, and in that spirit, we want to introduce you to a very special young man named Chase.
7 Action News reporter Kim Russo took to Twitter asking if you would like to see more happy and positive stories right here on the news.
This one is about Chase, the little boy who couldn't communicate with the world. His parents trying one last therapy in hopes for change. The results?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Here's how it happened.
Imagine living every day, not only unable to speak, but to make sounds.
All through the time.
This is video of therapists giving Chase, a little boy from Macomb County, a way to communicate with technology when he was 3 years old.
Swish, 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 go.
Oh, good job. The idea is once you teach someone how to communicate one way, sometimes speech follows.
Cookie.
A year later, Chase had made some progress, but not as much as hoped. His parents had been told by some that it was getting to be too late for him to learn.
There was a point where we thought at 4, if he's not talking, there's a good chance he's not going to talk.
We're like, well, he's going to be nonverbal.
They decided to try one more thing. They came here to the Kaufman Children's Center for an evaluation. Experts here recognized Chase didn't just have autism, he had severe apraxia. That meant his brain could actually organize the words, but he didn't have the motor ability to say them. This called for different treatments. They taught him sign language in a fun way to expand his ability to communicate.
Swing. All right.
At the same time, they treated his apraxia.
And they had to actually put tools in his mouth to get the sound, to even get his position of his jaw correct.
When Chase first came to us, he had no vocal imitation. He couldn't imitate any sounds.
Hamsters. Hamster.
Now to see him today, he can talk in sentences. He has a sense of humor.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
It's just like a miracle.
Nancy R. Kaufman owns the Kaufman Children's Center. She says miraculous things happen when the right therapies are brought together.
It's about the techniques. And so we may be doing something that isn't working for the child, and we may not have known that there was another way to approach the issues.
Chase's parents are sharing their story because they want other parents of children who are nonverbal to know that sometimes a change of therapy can make all the difference.
His journey's just been amazing.
Brown bear, what do you see? I see a wearable twig around me.
It's long, it's tough, but you got to stay with it.
He surprises us all the time. So you got to stay positive.
In West Bloomfield, Kim Russell, 7 Action News.
Wow, and you can see the tears in their eyes, and boy, I can't wait until that young man grows up. I mean, he's a little boy now, but I mean, with the progress, who knows what will happen.
Cute and very special, right? And happy for that family to see this progress, and thanks to Kim Russell for bringing that to us.
For sure, I'm sure you inspired a lot of people today.
Amazing. It's long, she says, it's tough, but you have to stick with it. You know, I think about it's so inspirational. In a world today, there's so many evolving tools and technologies that help to support parents. A short time ago, there wasn't,
Right.
they didn't have those options. So if nothing else, it's inspirational and it gives them hope.
Yes,
Hope.
absolutely.
Accepting that a child is neurodivergent and embracing their differences, it can be one of the best things a parent can do for their child, encouraging their strengths, allowing them to engage in self-soothing behaviors such as stimming without embarrassment or shame. It's essential. It's also important to remember that each neurodivergent child experiences the world differently, and supporting them in their own ways of being is crucial for their development and well-being.
Yes, and as parents, navigating the complexities of raising a child with neurodiversity can be overwhelming. I remember working with a Saturday program of kids, and one of them was autistic, and the other children communicated with her by writing, and her parents really put her into things that would help her. And I remember I was in Kentucky for 7 years. And just before I left, I was at a festival at a park, and she came up to me and she spoke. She was like, "Hi, Miss Thomas." Oh, it just brought tears to my eyes. But it was because of what her parents did. And it's so important that parents really look at all of the resources that are available and involving them in creative endeavors, and finding the right support and resources is crucial. But often it feels like they are fighting an uphill battle. One of the challenges that parents of autistic and ADHD children face is how to deal with meltdowns. During this commercial break, we will learn just how and what a meltdown is, what it is not, and how to approach your child during a meltdown. Children's Lives Matter is sponsored by Thriving Women University, an affiliate of the Thriving Women Network. If you want to produce a franchise show, TWN provides the media network training, coaching, and mentoring to produce your franchise shows. For more information, visit our website at www.thrivingwomennetwork.com.
Autistic meltdowns are not a tantrum. They are a neurological overload. It gets the body physically prepared to fight and flight by releasing lots of nasty stress hormones. Our brain activates cortisol, adrenaline, gets your heart pumping, the blood delivered to your muscles, so you can fight or run away, flee the situation. The difficulty is that autistic people will become overloaded from a lot of things because we are sensory sensitive, cognitively overloaded. The adrenaline, and your heart's racing so much and you're sweating so much, you can barely even think. I don't even know what I'm saying. I feel like I need to fight the situation to survive. Why does this happen? Triggers, baby, triggers. Iceberg theory. We all have a conscious, and underneath that, in the unconscious and the subconscious, are memories and other past traumas which we all keep bearing. We may be triggered because a routine has broken. We feel anxious outside of that, so we control a lot of the things in the environment to make it predictable. Some autistic people, when they melt down, will shut down, completely freeze, and go inwards on themselves. And I know what that feels like. You go completely numb. All the awful bad feelings come over me, and I actually become mute. I don't often speak for an hour or so when I'm in those states. Speaking about it makes me stim. Because it's a physical response, your autistic person cannot help this. It is not deliberate. It is our jobs as adults to react appropriately to autistic distress and trauma. See which one you think is more helpful. I'm having a meltdown and I'm hitting myself and I'm throwing things everywhere and I'm telling you that I hate you, and you're saying, yeah, well, I hate you too, and I don't think you're great either, and your behaviour is disgusting, and I'm never going to give you that present, and I'm cancelling your birthday party. The autistic person will fight and fight and fight because they feel it is the end of the world and they have nothing to lose. So try this. I know you are sad. I know you are angry. I am sorry you are in pain. How can I help? Is there anything I can do? Would you like me to go away? Would you like me to be quiet? Do you need a minute? Do you need a glass of water? Do you need a pen and a paper to show me? Can you show me through a movie or in a book? Can you draw how you feel? What are you afraid of? Validate your autistic. Validate how terrified they are in that moment. Even though it doesn't make sense to you, they may fight it. They may say to you, well, of course I'm not okay. Speak autistic. Speak in blunt, factual, logical terms. Say, I know you're not okay. I know you are sad. If you are finding that you are becoming overloaded from the meltdown, take a step back. That's not planned ignoring. That's you going away to get a drink, to look after yourself, regulate yourself, so you can be better equipped to help that person in distress. But you cannot do it if your fight-flight has been activated and you're fighting them as well. If you're in a situation with your meltdowns and you're asking, why is this not getting better? Ask yourself, are you fighting the meltdown as well? And if so, we have a few people in fight-flight here, and all of it needs to be deactivated.
Ooh, that was really powerful.
Very
Welcome back.
intense.
So I am here with the fabulous Camille Robb, and welcome back to Children's Lives Matter. We just watched this really powerful video. If you're just tuning into our show, March is Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month, and we're enlightening, encouraging, and empowering parents and families to talk with kids about embracing people with different abilities. So we're going to go into today's deep dive, where we're going to focus on neurodiversity. Camille, how are you today?
I am blessed to be a blessing, and how are you?
Wonderful. It's great to be on here with you today.
It's my pleasure. Now, in our diverse world, one thing I've learned, we often forget about neurodiversity and how people brain work. The different way how the brain works makes our society very interesting. For me, I have dealt with several different students, and every child learned different. So when we realize that every brain works a little different, we can see how rich and varied our human is. Instead of seeing the neurodiversity of the problem, we can understand its strength and lead to new ideas and invention. Temple Garden talked about how the San Francisco Bay Area level is people are moderate autism are increasing compared to the rest of the United States. Even though the place like Silicon Valley are known to be smart, innovative, some people say, well, they don't pay enough attention to autism or support those who have it.
Good point, Camille. And in Silicon Valley, California, the demand for specialized skills in fields like computer programming, engineering, and data analysis has led some companies to actively recruit individuals on the autism spectrum, which is very interesting. So these individuals often possess unique talents such as exceptional attention to detail, pattern recognition, and problem-solving abilities, qualities that are highly valued in the tech sector. However, despite the potential for inclusion and acceptance, navigating the competitive and fast-paced environment of Silicon Valley can be daunting for individuals with autism. The intense sensory stimuli, the social expectations, and rapid pace of change can pose significant challenges for those who struggle with sensory sensitivities, communication difficulties, and executive functioning issues. So we're going to watch this clip on autism and the tech industry. We'll be right back.
A man enters the lobby of an office building.
When I was diagnosed with autism, the psychologist explained it like there were very limited career capacity for me.
Before I came to Microsoft, I was struggling to get employment, and I had these skills in math, but nobody was giving me interviews, and it didn't seem to be going well. I worked a couple of minimum wage jobs. It was work, it paid the bills, but I definitely could feel that I was destined for something more.
I feel like I get to have a pretty significant impact on Microsoft.
By having people with disabilities in the fabric of our company, you're building in a diverse workforce that then represents the 1 billion people with disabilities out there. We're going to be building better products, we're going to be building better services, websites, anything that we do will work across the spectrum of being human.
And so every time we get an opportunity to bring somebody in who can see things from a different angle, every time that happens, that's where we find these great creative types who can come in and help us deliver the things that we care about.
Microsoft started the autism hiring program to find candidates in a non-traditional way based on their unique talents.
I'm Cody Takiyoshi, and I'm a software engineer at Xbox Live.
My name is Joey Chemis, and I'm a data scientist here at Microsoft.
MJ Gardner, software engineer on Azure build pipelines and engineering systems.
There is just an incredibly high unemployment and underemployment rate when it comes to autism. A traditional hiring process, that's not going to allow someone with autism to show up and show their strengths.
Since 2015, talented individuals through the autism hiring program have landed full-time jobs across the company.
For me, the autism hiring program was the chance to finally, make it. You're saying, here's the things that come with autism that the standard interview process would flag. Here's how we accommodate those issues and make them less of an issue. And here's how we allow the person to really shine and show their true colors and abilities.
I think this is just a better way of evaluating. This is probably a better way for anyone.
With Jenny Legh Fleury, Chief Accessibility Officer.
People are looking for companies that reflect humanity. There is incredible talent out there in the marketplace that should be in our company.
This program has given me a mirror to reflect on the things that make me different, or how could I maybe change the way that I work in order to bring some of these experiences forward.
My hope for the future is that we won't see this as a program, but instead a natural way to recruit key talent in our organizations.
So if I was talking to a younger version of myself, I would let myself know that you're gonna do really cool things and that you're gonna major in math, you're gonna really love it, and that you're gonna end up getting a really cool job at Microsoft that you just enjoy. The people, the work, the type of problems that are being solved.
So to be here is just really cool. I'm very proud of where I am.
Microsoft logo. Visit Microsoft.com/inclusive hiring or email us at msautism@microsoft.com.
Now, if you took time out to watch that, you can see the power of diversity, okay? Now, in today's actionable advice, we are going to focus on accepting ideas that can open up and understand neurodiversity, shifting from the concept of disability, recognizing the diversity of the brain function involves in a shift of mindset, the language, the practical actions, and to promote inclusive and accommodation. Now, here are some steps to facilitate this transition.
Yes, and I'm excited to go through these steps because not only have we seen how to sit with someone when they're having this kind of autistic episode that we saw in our first clip, but now we're also seeing the strengths that people have and how they can be hired in these great tech industries. So the first step that we're going to talk about now, Camille, is to increase understanding of neurodiversity, which we're doing here today, the wide range of cognitive differences among individuals, providing education and training sessions to dispel the myths and misconceptions about these different neurological conditions.
Now, let's use persons with language that emphasize the individual before their condition. Persons with autism. That word is like poison to my bones. Rather than autistic person, avoid the stigma. A lot of us just use the language that we don't know and it hurt the person that's standing next to us. We label them. But instead of doing that, we need to enforce and start understanding the disability that they have and use their ability that they have.
Yeah. And saying person with autism is the preferred way, it looks like, rather than saying autistic person, because we're saying they're a person first. So exactly. I think that really takes that stigma away from it, Camille, like you're saying. So the next step we have that we want to encourage for people is to highlight the unique strengths and abilities of individuals with diverse neurocognitive profiles. Recognize and celebrate the contributions to various fields and industries like we've seen in the tech industry.
Exactly. And create an environment that accommodate diverse ways of thinking and working. Offer flexible work arrangement, sensory-friendly space. I remember when I was teaching and my students, they all were the same. Everybody had their own space and they had their own time. And the technology that we have now is so advanced, and others' recommendation and to support the individual and the different cognitive needs. When we come back from this break, we will jump into a deep dive discussion of neurodiversity.
Neurological differences like autism or ADHD are considered to be dysfunctional disorders and disabilities under the medical model of mental health. There's too little attention given to enabling people with neurologically different minds to be accepted for themselves, to discover and celebrate their strengths, and to find a place in society that values their differences. When most of us think of diversity, we think of things like race or sexual orientation, but there's a different kind of diversity you might not know about, neurodiversity. Neurodiversity is the concept that neurological differences among people should be recognized and respected. I believe it's time for this new social movement, the neurodiversity movement, to take off. Neurodiversity is a part of our genetics and of our evolution as a species. The genes for autism and ADHD are not errors, but rather are the result of variations in the human genome that have and will continue to have advantages for society. One of the genes associated with ADHD, the DRD4 gene, is known as the novelty-seeking gene. It arrived on the human evolutionary scene over 10,000 years ago. Genes associated with autism also go back more than 10,000 years. Research suggests that genetic variants linked to autism might have been positively selected during human evolution because they contributed to exceptional memory skills, heightened perception in vision, taste, and smell, a precise eye for detail, and an enhanced understanding of systems such as animal behavior. These characteristics likely remain in the gene pool today because they are still advantageous. As a psychologist advising the parents of differently wired kids, I tell parents they have a choice between trying to change the child to fit the environment and changing the environment to fit the child. There are many different microhabitats and subcultures in our world. For an individual with autism or ADHD, finding success on their own terms may come from discovering the particular niche that fits best, the niche that allows their strengths to shine and their challenges to be minimized. Individuals with ADHD tend to thrive in situations of rapid change, variety, and that reward creativity and out-of-the-box thinking. A career as a comedian, detective, entrepreneur, journalist, actor, EMT technician, or photographer could be. I'm not saying that having autism or ADHD is easy. And I don't mean to downplay the real suffering that can be caused by having a neurodevelopmental condition, disability, or difference. But it's also time the world sees the beauty and value in brain differences. Neurodiversity might be every bit as crucial for the human race as biodiversity is for life in general. My vision is for a neurodiversity tolerant and accepting society where differences are celebrated for the depth and dimension they bring to the human condition. I want children whose brains are wired differently to be encouraged to find their niche instead of changing to fit other people's ideas of normal. Diversity in every sense makes our world a better place, and people who think differently are a huge part of that.
Wow, I agree so much with that. You know, my son was diagnosed with ADHD, and what she said, change the environment to fit the child. Mm-hmm. When you put a child that has ADHD into a structured, sit down environment that schools teach, you know, the way that schools are, it doesn't work. You know, and with him, music, now this boy could sit and play a musical instrument for hours. He could produce music for hours. I mean, sit for hours doing that, but yet he couldn't sit still in school. And even he works in sales. And even as a salesperson, he can't sit at a desk. And so the company that he worked for allowed him to walk around and talk on the phone because he was a high producing salesperson. And so being able to fit the environment to be conducive to the condition
and
is
his
so
strengths.
important.
Yes. Finding the strengths and focusing on those. Yes, getting the right environment. Such a good point, Vera. Welcome back, everyone, to Children's Lives Matter. I'm Jessica Sheehan. I'm here with one of my co-hosts, the fabulous and wonderful Vera Thomas. So we are here together, and we're going to go into our deep dive discussion now. So we're going to explore the gifts that can be part of experiencing neurodiversity. Now, individuals on the autism spectrum often exhibit exceptional attention to detail, pattern recognition, and deep focus, qualities that are highly advantageous in fields such as mathematics, science, engineering, and the arts, very similar to what Vera was saying about her son. So their ability to think outside the box and approach problems from unconventional angles can lead to groundbreaking innovations and creative solutions. So wonderful. So similarly, individuals with ADHD may possess boundless energy, creativity, and a knack for multitasking, making them well suited for dynamic and fast-paced environments where quick thinking and adaptability are valued. Furthermore, individuals with dyslexia often have strong visual spatial skills, creativity, and problem-solving abilities, which can be assets in fields such as design, architecture, entrepreneurship. And by reframing neurodiversity as a superpower rather than a limitation, we can create environments that nurture and celebrate all individuals' unique talents and contributions. Embracing neurodiversity then promotes inclusion and equity and fosters innovation, creativity, and resilience in our communities and our workplaces.
Yes, and I think about Cher, and I also think about Whoopi Goldberg, both of whom were dyslexia, but yet they could memorize scenes and skits and their acting things. And so by adapting to neurodiversity informed approach, we can create more inclusive and equitable societies that recognize and value the diverse ways in which every brain works.
So true.
I am honored to introduce our guest, Dr. Sherry Sotelo. She is a licensed psychotherapist and the founder of the Psych series and the creator of the Faces of Illness.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Dr. Sotelo.
How are you guys doing?
Great. How are you?
Fantastic, as always. What a beauty to be here. Love the topic. One of my favorites.
Well, we're glad you are here. And let me ask you, what is your take on the shift to identifying as neurodiverse rather than a specific diagnosis?
Well, it's interesting because that does open up the doors to say, hey, I think in not this, again, very identified, maybe clinical criterion way, because now as we evolve as humans, we've learned new techniques. Our brain is constantly changing, much like our cells. So it opens up the door to have this wide range to operate from. So it's actually quite the justice as opposed to an injustice to see it as a neurodiversity as opposed to a closed box. Because as a treating clinician, one of the things that's very common is you will see ASD coupled with ADHD or other possibly impulse control disorders or anxiety and depression. So it really allows us to say, hey, as a whole, we are dealing with this child and or adult that has a neurodiverse thinking pattern. So what do we do to help them empower themselves to take control of their life? Because it really is a beautiful brain. It's not until maybe the last couple of decades where we've perhaps seen it not in a great light, which that's okay. It's what happened. But like you mentioned, Einstein or some of our other inventors, our early entrepreneurs, there's reasons that these brains can do what they do. And it's phenomenal. It's everything about, hey, their focus is perhaps not in the social setting. They're not succumbing to peer pressure. They have tapped into this absolute genius that may surround musical notes or mathematical calculations as opposed to emotional vocabulary and or proper relationship interaction. That's all right. It's how we've really been able to industrialize so many societies. And so we forget, or often we forget to highlight that. And that's why I think I love the first 35 minutes of this segment. I'm like, yay, everything that I've been preaching probably for 22 years now, saying, okay, this is the way we have to go with this. We need to embrace it, because neurodiversity is a thing that's helped us every step of the way. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And as we've seen from these videos, many neurodiverse children and adults are very intelligent people.
They run the highest IQs.
Yes. And so
Absolutely.
if you could advise parents on one thing to support their neurodiverse child, what would it be?
Find out what they're really great at. Absolutely acknowledge, appreciate, hear them, do the things that actually allows them to empower themselves, like, hey mom, hey dad, or hey caregiver, or hey loved one, I'm super great at music. I don't really like my homework so much. How can that parent maybe learn how to integrate music with that homework? It's being able to compromise. Sometimes as adults, we enjoy the structure because we have to live by societal rules and laws, etc. But we forget that kids don't possess logic and reasoning and judgment not until their early 20s. Sorry to break some hearts there, but that's just the way it is. And so if we can get into that kid's space from the parental aspect or caretaker aspect, caregiver aspect, this even goes with school officials. When you recognize that there's a small struggle, take that time to say, hey, what did you hear when I said this? Because if I'm seeing the struggle, maybe that it just wasn't understood. And then say, okay, now we get to build on it. Make it fun, make it interactive, participate. Don't veer away from it scared. There are so many people out here, like all of us, that are ready and willing and able to help come up with the ideas, come up with strategies, come up with new plans, maybe new outlets recreationally that's going to help that child thrive.
Absolutely. Sherry, thank you again, Dr. Sotelo, for being here. It's so great to have you. And I wanted to get your take on another angle of this. So parents of neurodiverse children may face a lack of understanding and support from neighbors, family, friends. Maybe the parent is on board and knows how to best meet the needs of their child. But with these outside entities who have these expectations of maybe normal behavior from the child, what advice do you have for handling this?
If it's someone that's within that parent's caretaker's personal circle, invite them in. Allow them to understand, oh, hey, my child loves to do this thing. I know it doesn't maybe look like your child, but this is the beauty of what they can do. Or for those, depending on where on, say, the spectrum or level of ADHD or ADD that exists, why isn't your child just sitting down with like the rest of the kids? Oh, you know what? His brain operates or her brain operates best in movement. So we actually get more retention with all the movement. So it's really reminding the parents and the environmental adults that patience is something that we as adults work with and learn to cope with, and embracing that children are still just children and that it is okay. So educating from one to another, the best way to get homeostasis and a beautiful environment is to bring everybody onto the same page.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. And that's really empowering for parents to hear that that's how they can best support their child and get everyone on the same page. So next, Dr. Sotelo, I wanted to hear from you, based on what we've learned in the show today, what are we missing when it comes to helping our children embrace their uniqueness, including any neurodivergence, please?
Okay, so there is one thing that I've been, I don't want to say within my practice, because this is actually across the board in all clinical practices, that there is a difference between the genders. And I know that's probably not the most PC statement to say right now, but this is really about a hormonal based approach to recognizing ADHD and autism and how it expresses itself. So I think most of us believe and understand that ADHD are these children that just bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce. Well, typically that is more testosterone based, that you'll see that more clearly in boys. However, in young girls, it's the thought process based. Their mind is going bing, 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 bing. So it looks like anxiety, a retraction from social environment. So it looks like depression. It looks like other mood disorders. And so more often than not, we are finding that young girls or young females are misdiagnosed into the mood categories or anxiety categories as opposed to, though ADHD and ASD are both within the anxiety category, it's just labeled a little bit differently. So opening up and really understanding, hey, is there something beyond just this energy field that we're seeing from the child? Is there a bigger neurodiversity that we have to address? What's their thought process like? So having parents take the time to do full clinical testing, psychological testing is important. I know it's very difficult to get into all of our mental health practitioners today, but it is worth knowing exactly what you're working with. But I also have to mention, sadly, a big portion of my adult clients, young adult clients, have made it through childhood, have made it through adolescence, and have come up into their final formation, that frontal lobe development years from 22 to 27, that's across both genders, without knowing that that's what was going on. Wow. I didn't know I had ADHD. I thought I was just a super smart kid, that I really stayed away from friends because I was focusing on my homework. Sure, all of that may have been true, but now you're dealing with ADHD as an adult and the emotional awareness and emotional consequence as it applies to others. Your relationships are suffering. Your other maybe financial budgeting skills are suffering because your brain is going all over the place. So let's not ignore that this is very, very prevalent in our adult population today, because we're only about a generation and a half off of actually accurately diagnosing during childhood.
This is such valuable information. I myself may have ADHD.
And it's really ironic as a clinician, and it wasn't until my 30s, well into my practice, and I'm going, hello, Sherry. That's everything that you do for your clinics. My clinics were guided to ADHD and ASD for children and young adults. I'm like, this has been you the entire time. Do your own assessment, please. And it's true. It's but that's what project managers are. That's what the strategists are. Their brain goes in 15 million directions, and we don't necessarily give way to too much social engagement, because when we set our mind to things, it just goes. I was one of those adults. So does that mean relationships may have suffered along the way? Absolutely. Did it mean friendships were maybe not built properly? Absolutely. But I'm of the age where that wasn't a thing. Instead of saying, hey, my child is neurodiverse, I was put into GATE class. Why? Because I was extremely intelligent, scores off the chart. When I went and worked on my PhD in clinical psychology, we have to spend all this time doing, IQ testing, all the psychological battery pieces. And that's where I learned, and this is also a huge misnomer. Oh, my IQ is 165. Okay, so you're somewhere along the autism spectrum. We have a cutoff at roughly 145 to follow within still a neurotypical brain pattern, though you can still fall within spectrum or fall within the ADHD component because we run higher intelligence, but there's a cutoff point. And so IQ testing young gives us really good insight to, hey, we need to hone into this child's absolute brilliant skills.
Beautiful. Well, we really appreciate you having been here. Thank you so much for your insights, your wisdom, your knowledge.
Thank you.
Children's Lives Matter is sponsored by Thriving Women University, an affiliate of the Thriving Women Network. If you want to produce a franchise show, TWN provides the media network, training, coaching, and mentoring to produce your franchise show. For more information, visit our website at www.thrivingwomennetwork.com.
Living with an invisible disability is soul-crushing, but it empowers me to make a change. I am autistic. Growing up with autism in London was hard because travelling on buses in London, trains, delays, things not running to a schedule all caused me severe uncomfort and distress. Before my diagnosis, I struggled to make friends, I felt isolated, and had difficulty forming bonds with other people. Add to that the confusion as to why nobody else was like me, and not having a diagnosis until I was 30, it led to a pretty confusing childhood and teenage experience. So I spent my teenage years and late childhood searching for places where I felt welcome. Tabletop games were one of my many outlets that gave me a way to socialize without socializing. This led me to designing tabletop games, designing events where people could socialize and take part in something where the social anxiety of interacting with the person that was at the table was taken away by the tool, which was that board game or role-playing game or experience.
In the UK, 1 in 100 people are on the autism spectrum, and there are around 700,000 autistic adults and children.
One of the things I highly recommend is if you feel like you are autistic or certain things you identify with, is to just go and get a diagnosis for yourself, because it will change the way you develop and interact with the world. It did for me. My differences don't describe me. What makes me me is my determination to help and change the perception that people have of being different. Whether you're a minority of a minority, the easiest thing to start your road to feeling accepted is to discover what it is about yourself that makes you different and come to terms with it. Autism isn't who you are. Autism is an aspect of your personality that you learn to understand and incorporate into your everyday life.
That was very hard to watch, to figure out at that age.
You know what, though, Camila, we're learning so much just from this one episode. I'm thinking of the interview. What a powerful interview.
Yes.
You know, so many great tips. There is so much to learn and grow as we evolve. Well, to audience, welcome back to Children's Lives Matter. So today we're delving into a new way to view brain differences, not as a disability, but rather as a unique brain operating system.
You know, some parents, I've worked with them, so I can tell you from experience that with their children, they think that learning different may compare their child progress that the kids who learn, the normal way.
Mm-hmm.
They might worry about how well their child does in school, how they get along with others. But when parents understand that their child brain works in a very unique way, they realize that there isn't a disability.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, they will see that their children are special strength that might be a bit different and to consider them normal.
Mm-hmm.
It's really about the parents accepting that their child is different and to celebrate those differences, supporting their child's strengths and letting them do the things that will help them, stay calm, like, fidgeting, repeating themselves, moving around without feeling embarrassed. This is more important, especially when you see the child is trying to get your attention. Every child thinks differently, and the experience in this world, they need to do it their own way.
Yeah.
So a lot of parents need help when it comes to understanding that your child is very unique and you have to just watch them grow into that happy person that they can be.
Yeah, so true. Well, in today's insightful reflections, we are highlighting Dr. Delia Craybill for her insightful article in Psychology Today. It explores the concept of self-compassion for parents of neurodiverse children. She delves into the importance of cultivating self-compassion and helps us to cope with challenges and the stresses of parenting a neurodiverse child. In the next clip, we're going to experience a self-compassion exercise that parents can use.
I don't know anyone who wouldn't benefit from more self-compassion. It makes me nervous, it feels uncomfortable, but I can see how it can be potentially life-changing. 1. Think of a situation in your life that is difficult and causing you stress. Okay. Number 2, call the situation to mind and see if you can actually feel the stress and emotional discomfort in your body. Yeah, I can definitely feel it in my neck and shoulders. I know that's where I carry a lot of my anxiety. Okay, step number 3. Say to yourself, this is a moment of suffering. This acknowledgement is a form of mindfulness, of simply noticing what's going on for you emotionally in the present moment without judging that experience as good or bad. You can say to yourself, this hurts or this is stress. Use whatever statement feels most natural to you. So, this sucks. How many more days left of this do I have? So just saying this is stress or this sucks, but that's okay. Those are statements that feel natural to me. Step 4, say to yourself, suffering is a part of life. This is a recognition of your common humanity with others, that all people have trying experiences, and these experiences give you something in common with the rest of humanity. Other options include other people feel this way, I'm not alone, or we all struggle in our lives. I think the I'm not alone statement really resonates with me. I think that a lot of other active duty military psychiatrists probably have somewhat of a similar sentiment. Just that knowledge that you're not alone really, really helps. Number 5, put your hands over your heart. Feel the warmth of your hands and the gentle touch of your chest and say, may I be kind to myself. This is a way to express self-kindness. You can also consider whether there is another specific phrase that would speak to you in that particular situation. Examples include, may I give myself the compassion that I need. May I learn to accept myself as I am. May I forgive myself. May I be strong and may I be patient. Oh, may I learn to accept myself as I am. I think that really hits the nail on the head. May I learn to accept myself as I am.
Welcome back to Children's Lives Matter. If you are tuning into the show, March is Developmental Disability Awareness Month, and we are enlightening, encouraging, and empowering parents to embrace inclusivity and teach their children to accept others as human beings, not as labeled individuals. We understand that there are special challenges for parents of neurodivergent children. And in today's actionable advice, we encourage these parents to take mindful moments of self-compassion.
Yes, thank you, Vera. Absolutely. We're learning so much today. And the concept of neurodiversity was first introduced by sociologist Judy Singer, who proposed that neurological differences should be recognized and valued as a form of human diversity rather than a disorder or a deficit. This idea was later expanded upon by activists and scholars in the autism community, and the term neurodiversity gained popularity in the early 2000s to promote the celebration and accommodation of neurological differences rather than their pathologization, labeling, and stigmatization. That's a lot to say, but our call to action for all viewers is to see the gifts in the human being rather than focusing on the diagnosis. Let's revisit Temple Grandin's comment about people in boxes while we view this next clip. We'll be right back.
It's so easy to place people in boxes, drawing lines, creating sides. There's us, and there's them. Those we feel comfortable around, and those we don't. There are those of us with many chapters, and those just starting their own stories. There's the well-to-do, and those doing what they can. There are those we share something with, and those we don't seem to share anything with.
Welcome, and thank you for coming today, guys. Today I'm going to be conducting an experiment where I'll ask you a series of questions. Now, these questions will be very personal questions, and for us to get a true result, I need you to be completely honest with how you respond. The first question I have is, who in here was the class clown? Who is never on time?
And then there's us. We who have tattoos. We who feel lonely. We who have been bullied. We who have bullied others. We who are madly in love. We who have overcome great adversity. And there's the lucky ones, whose team won the championship this year. We who beat cancer. And then there's all of us.
And then there's all of us. I love it.
That's right. We have more things that we are alike on than differences that we have. So boxes are really not what it's all about. All right. So we appreciate everyone who's joined us today, however and wherever you're watching on Children's Lives Matter. And as a reminder, our program is sponsored by Thriving Women University, an affiliate of the Thriving Women Network. If you want to produce a franchise show, TWN provides the media network training, the coaching, and mentoring to produce your franchise show. For more information, you can visit our website at thrivingwomennetwork.com, and we will be right back.
What page?
This.
What page?
Page 58.
If you need help, let me know.
You need help?
You do?
I
did. We always knew Victoria was a special girl. She could count to 100, at age 2.
But I'm ready for vacation. We were actually completely lost when Victoria was diagnosed with autism. So we found the Yale Medicine Child Study Center online. It seemed like that would be tough on Victoria, but potentially could get some results.
Parenting is hard, but parenting a child with a disability is astronomically harder. And providing parents with strategies that they can use is what empowers me every day. I'm Pam Ventola. I'm a clinical psychologist and an assistant professor at Yale Medicine Child Study Center. In autism, the primary areas of deficit are social interaction skills, language and communication skills. That's your chair. Victoria is a patient that I've worked with for just over a year now. She's bright, capable little girl, but she wasn't motivated to engage with other people. Do you want to start with stickers or go fish? Let's play go fish. What we offer at Yale Medicine is individualized treatment. Pivotal response treatment is abbreviated PRT. It's a behavioral treatment to support language development and social interaction. You want the rod? Yes. Sure. For each child, we develop objectives, so very clearly defined behaviors that we want to improve. I got another green one.
I'll dump the rest.
Victoria's goals when we first started working with her included making eye contact with the person she was speaking to, and also using her language to help her begin to engage in conversations.
What did you get?
I got the bird.
Oh.
A lot of the kids that we work with, Victoria included, love bubbles. And we can use these bubbles to motivate the children to communicate with us. So the child would need to use their words. A lot of bubbles or just one bubble?
A lot.
And then I'd reinforce it by blowing the bubbles.
When Dr. Ventola and Victoria were working together, you could kind of see on Victoria's face, this is what I can do. This is something that I can say to get what I want and be motivated.
I'll put them in the middle. Did you get a sun?
No, but I got something else that I think you really like.
Blue?
Your favorite.
This is great. I like how you're prompting her. For all of our sessions, Victoria's parents observed or were interacting with Victoria with us.
Wait a second. No, your face is better. Ready? All right, close your eyes.
I definitely felt hopeful. I watched this and I thought, my kid really isn't that different than any other kid. She just needed different tools.
Yeah, just close your eyes, Mommy.
It required a great deal of commitment from us to take home the things that Dr. Ventola was teaching us in that setting.
Step 31.
What pieces do
Out of
Victoria? The reaction was an amazing transition from where she was to where she is today.
I felt that.
Well, I feel them all, every single one of them. We would really like to thank our Prime viewers from around the world and our guest, Dr. Sherry Sotelo, of course, for supporting today's mission to enlighten, encourage, and empower parents to have a conversation with their children on how to embrace people with developmental disabilities. You can support us by joining our Facebook group, Thriving Women TV, and telling a friend. And you can watch recent episodes on demand at our Facebook group, E360 TV, or our website, www.thrivingwomennetwork.com.
And don't forget, Every Child Can Learn is sponsored by Thriving Women University, an affiliate of Thriving Women Network. If you want to produce a franchise show, TWN. They provide the media, networking, training, coaching, and mentoring to produce your own franchise show. And all you have to do is just visit our website. And don't forget to stay tuned into the show that is coming up. Every Child Can Learn on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. You don't want to miss it.
I am Dixie Ann Harris Gordon.
And I am the fabulous Camille Robb. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you.